Load. There we go. Our first player in the bottom left of Jagannatha, a map that ShoWTimE is sorely mad at right now, representing Shopify Rebellions. It is the blue Terran player from South Korea, ByuN.
And his opponent up in that top right-hand side in the red, representing big esports, he is ShoWTimE.
Oh, Creighton. This is so cruel. This is so cruel.
What could you possibly be talking about, Grant?
ShoWTimE just coming off with an epic long map on this. Oh my god, 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 no.
No!
An epic long map here on Jagannatha, and now he's getting proxy racks. The good news is he is gate scouting instead of cyber scouting or going Nexus scout. So he will see this pretty early. He will be able to go cyber core before Nexus. Chrono out and Adept very quickly, but this is still going to be a difficult challenge here for ShoWTimE, who has to be ready for this aggression out of ByuN.
And the good news is for him, it's only one proxy barracks, right? Not two, not three, God forbid, not four. So just one. This is going to be some light pressure here from ByuN. I don't know if, I don't think he's going to do anything too crazy, just to get the Reaper Scout in a little bit early and maybe try and slow down anything he can. But as you said, Adept out early enough should be able to drive that back. And of course, ShoWTimE has now seen it. He knows what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on. He knows there's a proxy barracks or more than that. Seeing the factory going down at about this time should be a pretty good tell that it's just the one. I don't think we'll see too much of a panic. You can see he dropped that pylon for maybe needing a shield battery early, but I don't think he'll actually drop one. He might. Either one would be probably acceptable.
Yeah, I agree. Seeing double gas and stuff as well. He's walled off the Reaper cliff, which is going to mean that the Reaper has to come through only one way. And with a Zealot already out to force the micro of the Reaper, it will be annoying for ShoWTimE, certainly. It's probably more a strategy to try and get in his head after that very long game, to just mess with him a bit. He may lose a couple of workers, but of course that barracks does have to eventually fly the long way home, and that means some lost time there producing units for ByuN, so it's not without its risks doing this build. Was it just one worker that went down? Yeah, this is okay. That's not a problem whatsoever. And now the Zealot and the Stalker will make their way to the other side of the map to slow down any potential command center. I think that's probably the best strategy. Oh, okay. That's a very quick second barracks. Oh, no, that's the first one flying.
That's the first one, just flying back home. Yeah.
I tricked you.
That would have been a very quick second barracks. Thank goodness it's not. Just the one returning back home. So a little early pressure from ByuN. You know, this is the first really cheeky play we've seen from ByuN all day. Because, of course, this has been the B for ByuN stream today. And we've seen him play a lot of games so far, been favoring early game drop harass, but this is the first time he's ever gone for a proxy of any kind. Again, pretty light proxy. It barely qualifies as a proxy. Pretty light stuff. And he's just going to go for a 1-1 behind this, and it slows down his command center a little bit as well. So a little surprising to see ByuN delaying his own natural, because ShoWTimE's is up now, and ShoWTimE's going to creep ahead economically just a little bit here for a good solid couple minutes, which means that ShoWTimE's going to be able to be comfortable expanding behind this, and ByuN probably won't put too much pressure on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that third CC come down from ByuN quite quickly. It does look like, there we go. That is going to be the case. He's going to start producing tanks and stuff. He knows he didn't find too much. ShoWTimE playing very standard. He's getting Blink. He's getting a Robo. We can use some Blink harassment possibly. This is only going to be off of 2 gateways, so don't expect any real aggression coming out of ShoWTimE. It's not his style. I think his third will go down in about 30 seconds or so, and he'll start moving up in towards quite possibly Robo Bay and moving into Disruptors. I imagine Blink into Colossus is very safe. And although ShoWTimE is a safe player, I feel like he's more likely to not let ByuN just macro like crazy. We saw in yesterday's games when ByuN was qualifying versus a Protoss player with Disruptors, he can split like just unbelievably well. Of course, we do have a bit of ping as we are on the NA server for both. But it's interesting to see. There's that Robo Bay as expected. Blink on the way. Already a Raven coming out though from ByuN.
Now, you were talking about Disruptors earlier. Is there any chance that ShoWTimE mixes in a couple of Colossi right off the bat? This is a pretty early Robo Bay for him. Yeah,
it is. Getting Colossus is by far the safest thing you can do. You're very safe against anything, really. But you can't be as aggressive against siege tanks and against the Raven. It becomes very difficult to make stuff happen. He is going for his third at about the 5-minute mark. A little bit later than I thought he would, but he wanted that Robo Bay first. getting a lot of workers as well. ShoWTimE's already up at 47, which is a great number. Does see the Reaper gets one. That's nice. You know, a little bit less pressure on the map here for ByuN, a little bit less scouting capabilities. They can't split those up to cover drops and things now. But I mean, both players right now are really playing safe. It is going to be Colossus, okay. So, I mean, we do know ShoWTimE as a safe macro player. That's exactly what he's doing, getting those Colossus to keep himself alive, getting charges to follow up here. And he's going to sit back on free bases, probably move into either Disruptors or Storms, get his double upgrades going before too long, as his Forges are a little late at 6 minutes. Just one for now. Double E-base coming down there from ByuN.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we talked about a little bit earlier, right? ShoWTimE knows he has a little bit of space after ByuN's interesting proxy that really didn't end up doing all that much. It hampered ByuN just as much as, if not more, than the additional early scouting he got. ShoWTimE did a really, really nice job of pushing it away, and ByuN wasn't able to find any phenomenal damage early on. So this allows ShoWTimE to go for those Colossi, which, as you said, a little safer, a little stronger, but they are. Ooh, he's going to show them very early here, which is great. That's great for ByuN.
Yeah. Yeah, so that Reaper shouldn't have ever been able to kill 2 workers. It was just 1 Reaper. It got 2 transferring workers, and it saw the Colossus, which shows everything it needs to show. The only thing ByuN really doesn't know right now is it 1 Forge or 2 Forge? What is the transition out of Colossus? Is it just a couple? What ShoWTimE's long-time plan is, but he's very confident. Now we can see ByuN is getting his 3rd. He's going to be able to saturate that very quickly. Colossus continuing to come out here. We are seeing few more gates go down, as well as quite a few shield batteries. I mean, this is as safe as a Protoss player can play. Lots of sentries, Colossus, shield batteries on every base, next to no aggression apart from some blink stalkers waddling around. We are seeing lots of extra barracks coming down, Marauder transition, Widow Mines coming in here from ByuN, who's most likely going to start trying to drop them in the mid to late game, which is a very cute piece of tech, but that Phoenix does see the reactor onto the factory and should know what's coming his way.
This is really interesting, Grant. You know, we've gone from some TVTs this morning that were just aggression. The Clem series we cast was over in about, what, 20 minutes max, maybe? Both of those games super duper fast. And now we see 2 players both transitioning to quite defensive styles. Even though ByuN's going for a push here, as you said, he seems to be setting up for a bit of a slower game, leaving those Widow Mines out on the field, going for the armory, going for the upgrades, even the concussive shells, showing that he's ready to sit back and let the game come to him if he chooses. He's in a really nice spot, though, outside the 4th base here, and this is something we've seen Terran players do all day. Get those siege tanks set up and just leave your units here, go for a big drop into the main, try and draw your Protoss player out of position.
Yeah, 1-1 has now finished for our Terran player. Actually, +1 armor is finished, +1 weapons finishing in about 15 seconds. Means that this is a little bit of an anti-timing, but so much tech has just been snipe created. The Robo, the Cyber Core, the Twilight Council, and now he's going to pick up and escape. The Robotics Base survives, and the Templar Archive survives. But there can't be any more Colossus production. There can't be any more Stalker production. It's very, very frustrating to deal with this. We see the Cyber Core going back down now here for ShoWTimE, but that was effective here for ByuN. Has he got a 4th CC? No, that's a little surprising to me as we get towards 9 minutes. He hasn't even started a 4th CC, and he is starting to generate quite a lot of units here. He hasn't started 2-2 either. I'm wondering how committed he is to this attack. There is an armory down. There we go, 2-2 starting, or +2 weapons starting right now. ShoWTimE is really, he's getting every upgrade. He's going 1-1-1 at the moment, which is kind of cool to see. But ByuN now moving out, I think he is starting to generate a little bit of pressure that could be scary for ShoWTimE to deal with.
This is really interesting here. ByuN pushing into the natural. I think he's just trying to draw ShoWTimE a little bit away. ByuN maybe having some sort of spider sense. I thought he might be going for this top left-hand side base, which he is actually not scouted yet. And yeah, he's going to load up a drop. Of course, the scouting pylon will see it, so he won't be able to just drop the Widow Mines directly in. ShoWTimE should be able to block that off if he notices it. But ByuN was trying to draw ShoWTimE away from that 4th base to maybe put some pressure on. And now it looks like he's going to try and draw him away into the 4th base and put pressure on the 2nd as well. ByuN doing a really nice job splitting up his army, putting pressure in multiple locations, and really punishing a ShoWTimE who's been playing very defensively so far by being very aggressive. Nice Dorito Dust Cannon here. The Colossus goes down, and there ain't much here to defend.
ShoWTimE is not prepared for this amount of Marauders. There's 21. There's as many Marauders as Marines almost. And that is chewing through this army. There's no Immortals. There's very few Archons, only 3. And we can see right now that ByuN just has so much interference matrix going on the Colossus, but the Colossus really isn't dishing out a huge amount of damage. That was a very cost-efficient fight for ByuN, who takes a 30 supply lead. We see ShoWTimE desperately trying to get his robotics facilities back up so he can start producing most likely some Immortals or Disruptors. That's what he needs right now. Meanwhile, Ghost's already on the way. ByuN is a tech step ahead of his opponent, and it's going to be so difficult for ShoWTimE in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, ByuN's army is really well rounded here. I like that you pointed out how many Marauders he's got. It's a common, not a mistake, but an interesting choice we see. Also, ooh, that Widowmine drop finally going down in the top corner. Beautiful stuff. Those are not going to be spotted anytime soon. Really nicely done from ByuN. A lot of Terran players do make that choice not to build Marauders, and I love mixing in Marauders, especially against these late game army compositions. Concussive Shells is such an underrated upgrade by some players. It just does so much flippin' damage, slowing your opponent down, buying you that time, and ByuN loading so many units up, so many Marauders into his army. He's going to be able to do a whole lot there. 16 probes going down to the 2 or 3 Widowmines, and he's got another drop in the main here. ShoWTimE falling apart again in game number 1.
Yeah, oh no, the Cyber Core again. That's so frustrating. You want more Stalkers, you want Sentries, so you can stay safe. Meanwhile, this base at the top side has finally been found, created, of course, the Widowmine here, and now it's being pounced on. There are a lot of Marauders here, and the Disruptor not ready. The Colossus not being looked at. The Disruptor gets taken down as it's firing, and this has been dealt with not well by ShoWTimE, and GG ByuN takes map 1.
That was the, I mean, that is about as classic as a, do you remember the phrase kimchi Terran from like back in the day?
Yeah.
That is about as classic as a kimchi Terran gets, right? Give me Marines, give me Marauders, give me Medivacs, and I'm going to push at 3 locations at the same time. I'm going to drop Harassi in one side, and I'm going to draw you all the way across the map as far as I possibly can. ShoWTimE really did a nice job trying to, I was a little surprised when he got his 4th base up. I was like, ooh, a little greedy there. But he was able to defend it for a while, which was really nice. But ByuN, pressure in the main, pressure in the natural, pressure at the 4th. Picked him apart, and ShoWTimE sort of fell apart there, not just technologically since he had all his buildings sniped, but also on that map presence, map awareness, and army control. Just a well-rounded game there by ByuN, and ShoWTimE could be in a rough spot. I know he's an emotional player, isn't he, Grant?
I think he can be. Generally, I see him as someone who stays quite calm, but it's interesting to see. He did just have a very, very rough series, hyper late game against the Zerg, which is so difficult to win, and you start to question, you know, when you see Broodlord Infestor, you get like Vietnam-style flashbacks from 2012, 2013. Shout outs to Johnny Rico. But it can be difficult to bounce back. He is playing very, very safe. Like, what aggression did you see from ShoWTimE in that game? I'll answer for you.
Yeah.
Zilch.
Yeah. There's none, absolutely none. And I liked that he was playing defensive. Again, he had a bit of an advantage there at the beginning of the game where he sat back and played defensive and macroed up, but it was really nice. But ByuN realized that's what he was doing and said, okay, I've got to counter that by being a bit aggressive, by being a bit cheeky and dropping in several locations at once. So really well played by ByuN there. I think ShoWTimE just outplayed. Obviously, that big drop into his main that crippled his tech was a huge deal. But we'll have to see if he can pull it back here. Our next map going to be Pillars of Gold. LE. And again, this is a must-win for both of these players. Yeah. Both ByuN and ShoWTimE sitting at 0-2 in the group right now. If you go down 0-3, I think technically you can advance, but there's got to be some sort of weird map score, even match score, head-to-head nonsense that happens. So ShoWTimE sitting in a very dangerous spot right now.
Yeah, as we load into the map, we are going to see if ShoWTimE can bring it back here. Our first player in the bottom left, the Pillars of Gold, representing BIG, just signed a new contract with them for the next year, so congratulations to them. It is the Red Protoss player from Germany, Demauer. ShoWTimE.
Tell the people back home, what does BIG stand for, Grant?
Berlin International Gamers, I think.
That's correct. Very nicely done. And our blue Terran player with an SCV suspiciously out on the map already. From the newly formed Shopify Rebellion, everybody's favorite rebel from South Korea, ByuN.
So cheeky. This is a very unusual spot as well. It's not hidden in a corner. It's hidden in plain sight, right next to that beautiful ESL Pro Tour logo. And that's going to make things a little bit difficult for ShoWTimE. He is scouting, but he's scouting a little bit later than last game. Last game, he didn't look for that proxy, went straight across the map. This game, he has a little scout for the proxy first and then goes, so he loses about 10 seconds, but he is still probe scouting, going to see what is going on here. And this is just a masterclass in getting in your opponent's head. He knows that ShoWTimE is probably a little upset following the last hour or two of his life and continuing to just pressure him here, make him frustrated, maybe force out a few more mistakes. I like it. I definitely do.
Yeah, and look at this, going to force the Cyber Core out before Nexus. Obviously, ShoWTimE probably would have preferred to be greedy and drop that Nexus down right away. But upon that scout, seeing there's no barracks in the main, he knows there's some tomfoolery occurring and says, oh man, this is not good. Of course, now he sees the factory going down, and ShoWTimE has to realize, all right, exact same thing happening now. Probably just the one proxy barrack since the factory's down so soon. Going to be a Reaper very soon.
Yeah, he gets his Zealot once again. Isn't throwing all his chrono into it like he did in the first place. And this time he hasn't walled off the Reaper cliff. So this Zealot does have a long way to run. The Reaper will jump up and be able to get into that probe line, throw a grenade, sort of disorientate the workers here, slow them down a little bit. It's all lost mining time. Everything is a few seconds and already gets one. That's good. If he gets a second, it's already better than last time. And he does. This is very frustrating right now. The Zealot is just not able to get anywhere near the Reaper. ByuN just incredible with his micro, despite playing with some ping here. If he gets a third worker, this is pretty devastating. And unfortunately, ooh, good save into the gas geyser. He's going for it. Yeah.
Got it, though.
Loses the Reaper.
Man,
that's worth it.
That's so interesting because I remember on the last map, he had that gateway up on the high ground, blocking off the Reaper jump up spot right here. So the Stalker was actually able to reinforce about 3 seconds or 4 seconds more quickly than it is when you go for the low ground wall off, which is normally considered a bit of a safer build than blocking off the Reapers. So actually, ShoWTimE getting a bit of a disadvantage there. I don't know if he thought that far ahead, but the Stalker slightly behind. And yeah, let's talk about what's happening here, Grant.
Yeah, we're seeing that very quick third CC come down, but the thing I'm noticing right now is
Grant, that's not a third CC.
Oh, sorry. I'm paying attention right now to ShoWTimE. I think has a probe at the very top left of the map. It's been there a while. He's not thrown a pylon down, but it's looking like maybe he has aggression on his mind. We'll keep an eye on that. We are seeing the starport come down. Tank already on the way. Okay, and it's going to be a medevac. So it looks like ByuN is going to do what ByuN's been doing, and that's get a very quick... Okay, cancelled it, actually. Okay. Still no pylon, actually, the probe. Oh, no, he has. He's moved forward and put a pylon down. So ShoWTimE is going to be aggressive here. He's getting a robo. How many gateways is he going up to? Just 2 again, which is slightly strange. I thought maybe he'd commit to at least a 3rd gateway. But ShoWTimE this time looking like he wants to pile on some pressure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be super duper aggressive here from ShoWTimE. I think a little contain might be warranted, though. We've seen ByuN take some really great risks in the past 2 series, Grant, where he's not afraid to leave his army out on the map to zone somebody out and leave his army in harm's way, but at the same time prevent some of the danger from your opponent. So I like this from ShoWTimE going in. He might even snipe an SCV, do a little damage, but most importantly, I think what ShoWTimE's really doing here is just sort of what's the dinosaur in Jurassic Park that has the frill on its neck? Is it the ornithomime? No, it's the
what the fuck are you on about?
In Jurassic Park, the original.
Yeah.
There's the dinosaur that has a little frill on its neck where when it gets angry, it pops out its neck and looks really big and hisses and then spits the
turkey.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's the one that kills Dennis Nedry. Who spits the goop into his eye.
Anyway, that guy.
I feel like ShoWTimE is just showing his fur a little bit and saying, hey, ByuN, don't move out. Stay at home. Don't you dare attack me. I'm very scary. I'm terrifying right now. And hoping that ByuN's just going to stay back. Oops, sorry about that. Hoping that ByuN's just going to stay back and build up in macro and maybe give ShoWTimE some breathing room because heaven knows that's the thing he needs right now, especially after the last series.
Yeah, ShoWTimE this time isn't playing that Robotics Bay Colossus. He's going mass gateways, mass upgrades, getting both those Twilight Council upgrades, and he's going to be getting a lot of gateways. This is how I like to play Protoss right now, because Zealots are really, really good, and Stalkers behind offer a lot of support with some force fields and stuff like that. It allows you to warp in quickly if you have a lot of gateways to defend. You can get that Dark Shrine and that Templar Archives much earlier for Archons and things. We should be seeing the 3rd go down. It's actually quite late for ShoWTimE compared to how... He likes to get it. In the last game, he got it at the 450 point. So
I zoomed in just as he saved up 400 minerals because I was like, okay, he's going to drop it now. And then nothing. Because try again.
He made a prism instead.
No, what? He fooled us.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. All these gateways taking a toll. But yeah, as you said, Zealots in a very strong position right now. I've never felt like Zealots have been more loved by Protoss players than the last couple weeks of play. Just charge lot, a couple really notable series where charge lots have made all the difference. And ShoWTimE really going all in here. And that's why you can see +1 armor coming down. Grant, tell the people back home why you go +1 armor with charge lots.
Yeah, I mean, they're naturally very, very tanky units that don't attack too fast. So getting armor can be great. They're able to take an extra hit from tanks. Marines take longer to kill them, and that means they can close that distance that bit quicker, force more micro, more stutter steps the longer they live, and allow the stalkers in the back to free fire alongside some Archons up as well. It's just a very disruptive style that forces stutter stepping to be on point. ByuN has scouted the third timing down at the bottom here, but we see ShoWTimE starting to move out. Charge Shot's actually surprisingly good against siege tanks because they get on top of them so quickly and then they can't fire. Archons soak up the shots, Charge Shots charge in, force the Marines back, and with Stalkers blinking to the side generally as well to take out the bio, this can be very difficult. It does look like ByuN is pretty prepared for this. Guardian Shield going down though, and here comes the charge.
This is beautiful. Tanks immediately on top of those Zealots on top of those tanks, as you said, and the Archons in the back eating a lot of damage. This is great for ShoWTimE. Initially, the army value for these players still pretty even, but ShoWTimE in on the third. That's going to force a liftoff from ByuN. He's going to get his army medevaced out of there, and that means the third's going to lift off as well. This is a great win for ShoWTimE. If he pulls out right now, it's basically a free third base slowdown. If he continues this push, Grant, I'm a little bit worried that he might do something silly and trip up just a little bit. I think he takes his chips and gets out of the casino.
Yeah, I mean, a soft contain at this point isn't bad. Taking 4 Zealots and sticking them into the main is great. Yeah. Behind this, Storm is coming. +2 armor is coming. The Zealots are just getting tankier and tankier. And if this drop is able to connect and kill a few more workers, ShoWTimE is already in a pretty good spot. Usually, would like to have a few more, but he's doing pretty good considering his third is only just finished. He has come all the way home. We have a Widow Mine drop though from ByuN, and this is what ByuN is so good at in the mid game, constantly dropping these Widow Mines. It looks like ShoWTimE was a little indecisive. He didn't drop in the end. He is going to bring everything home, worried about some pressure himself. He doesn't have great vision, just one observer by the third that now sees that landing. But this is a little scary. These Widow Mines, I'm really worried about this. How prepared is ShoWTimE in his main right now, Creighton? He's not at all.
The answer is not, Grant. Not at all. He does, of course, have a shield battery, but shield battery not anything. And ShoWTimE sees it in time. Oh, just pulls at the right moment. Only losing 3 probes so far. There's going to be a drop in the natural as well. He needs to pull away from this very quickly. Already sending his sacrificial probe forward. Very nicely dealt with here by ShoWTimE. Yeah, he hasn't killed off the medevac or anything, but only losing 4 of those probes ain't bad at all. In addition, Grant, one thing we haven't talked about is this observer from ShoWTimE, which has been alive since the beginning of the game. It has been tracking this army movement the entire time. This is why ShoWTimE was so confident to move across the map with that Zealot Archon push earlier, because he knew exactly what he was getting into. He did the math and he said, I see you, you don't see me. Observers are great. That observer truly the MVP of this game. Yeah,
we have a bit of an anti-timing here because +2 is not yet done for ShoWTimE, whereas 1-1 has finished here for our Terran player, but I don't think he quite has enough. He really needs to move into Ghost. That's some bad weather on top of all of these medevacs and Marines. The bio actually getting chewed up real bad here. Some of it getting caught out. That was great for ShoWTimE. Exactly what he needed. Storm being incredible. He loses 10 workers to the Widow modes, which is, if he'd have only lost 4 or 6, would have been a bit better. He must have left 1 alive. I think it's now been cleaned up, but
right here, yeah.
Yeah, not perfect, of course. He is now down to just 50 and needs to keep producing those workers. But as long as there's no ghosts, okay, ghosts are on the way actually down. ShoWTimE's army goes to the real scary part. You want to be moving into disruptors eventually. Ghosts aren't too bad before enhanced shockwaves, which is not yet even started.
Right.
But this is still a pretty big army ShoWTimE's got right now. And he does have +2 armor now. So these Zealots are very, very difficult to deal with. As long as those EMPs aren't absolutely magical, ShoWTimE has a chance to make something happen.
Going to be very dangerous, though. Can't have those Archons too clumped up. Got to make sure, yeah, you can see him artificially separating those Archons up. You don't want 1 EMP to ruin your whole day. Warp Prism does go down with 2 High Templar in it, so only a couple Templar on the ground, but some good storms on the east side there, taking down ByuN's army into the orange and the red. Etta James would be so proud of this stormy weather right now, Grant, but the Warp Prism gone is going to slow down ShoWTimE's push considerably. He's got to fight with what he's got, and right now, I don't know that it's enough to end this game.
Archons love fighting SCVs. 20 go down almost immediately. This is fine. The Zealots coming in to reinforce. Look at the Archon standing so strong. Armor upgrades not actually even benefiting them. So these are just pure vanilla Archons. And they have just killed 33 workers. ShoWTimE is now up a lot of workers. He did throw a lot of Zealots at that. That is true. But as long as he holds on now, as long as he macros out of this and doesn't take any damage, this is going to look so good for him because ByuN is so far down economically.
That was a huge mistake by ByuN, pulling those probes off to buy some time against Archons. Man, probes fall to Archons. like that. You ever seen that video of a raccoon washing cotton candy?
Oh, it disappears
before he eats it, and it just disappears. Those SCVs are like the cotton candy in the hands of the Archon raccoons, which is a very pleasant series of things to say.
Yeah.
Archon raccoons. Oh, that's good. Anyway, the SCV's just disappearing, not buying him time, and the Archons on the north side doing a really nice job there. ShoWTimE finally getting a 4th base. No 4th base down here for ByuN anywhere. He's just on 3 because he can't afford it. Losing all those SCVs. You can see him rebuilding 3 SCVs at a time. But I love that. Scanning at the 4th base is a guarantee that that's where he's going to push for. And ShoWTimE should be moving his army into position. A couple Zealot drops in the main here doing a nice job, but I don't think ShoWTimE's going to commit too far to this. A little surprised that he's out of position at this 4th base, though.
Yeah, right now, ByuN's army is bigger considerably. He's up 23 army supply, and his 2-2 is done. So he has a very, very formidable force. And if the EMPs land, if the High Templars do not manage to get storms off, okay, they're in the prism, and bang! Oh, missed. Really? Okay, maybe. Oh, actually, does ByuN have too much here? There's no shield battery, which means there's no overcharge. He does! Wow, ByuN just storms forward and takes the